Man, managing, bro.
Doing good.
Yeah,
doing good. Welcome back, Jose. Welcome, Domite.
Thank you. I'm not doing good. I'm not doing good.
Right, me either. My brother, Jose, my brother from another color. Let me.
How you doing, baby? Hey, that's a big old cat behind you. You better watch it.
Oh, you can see him? Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, he's sitting on the table.
That's security. That's all good.
Yeah, man. He that's my bodyguard.
All right, all right.
But
we know you need one. I understand.
No, Jose needs one.
I don't want no cat.
No, bodyguard.
Oh, no, I got Mel.
No, bodyguard.
I got Mel. Whenever Mel's around,
Mel's your bodyguard.
Nobody talks to me. Nobody looks at me. No producer, no director, no nobody.
Really?
I think that's everybody's problem when Mel is around it.
Oh, well, you know, that's Melly Mel.
Do y'all want to get me fired up this early in the show?
Hey, man, we're not scared of you.
Hey, Holyfield wasn't scared of Tyson. He's still missing an ear.
Just a little piece. Just a little piece.
I'm trying to.
He's gonna bite us. That's scary.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my watch party going, but
Yeah, I'm just sharing it to my page now. I know it's 7 o'clock. We're probably live.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we are live. I see it. The producers have.
Yep, we're live.
We are live from the cave.
You know what?
So be on your best behavior.
Go to my Facebook page, guys. Check it out. We're gonna be live right now. We're live right now, but I'm gonna switch over to Facebook so you guys can take care of that.
Being on our best behavior is not typical. So,
no.
I think I got it going now. All right, here my watch party is. All right, cool. Yeah, man. I of course.
All right.
You know, we know that this is not the typical upbeat vibe we usually have based on the climate. You know, but we're still gonna enjoy ourselves with it. I'm gonna round robin and let everybody introduce themselves, and then I'm looking forward to meeting the brother that I have not met before. We'll save him for last and let him tell us a little bit about himself. And I got this light making me look like I'm oily. Glenn, the way it is on my screen is Glenn, Mel, JR, me, and so we'll go Glenn, Mel, JR, me, and then I'll let our new brother introduce himself. Glenn, real quick.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, good evening, everybody. Glenn Murray from G-Rose Productions. Welcome back to the cave.
Mel Roberson, actor, author, entrepreneur, activist, and founding member and constant member of the Man Cave.
I thought you were going to say a new edition.
Sound like it. Actor,
this ain't the show.
Actor, producer, director, business owner, small business owner, entrepreneur, and great friend of Mel's. Great friend of Mel's. We gotta put it out there. We gotta put it out there.
JR, I don't hear you very well, so if maybe you can move close. You got me shouting.
How's that? How's that?
Closer, or adjust your volume or something.
All right.
Just to make sure that we can hear you. I'm Sean. I'm honored to typically be the host of the Live from the Man Cave episodes for the last 4 or 5 weeks or so. I'm a local singer, local photographer, blogger. You know, I do a couple of different things like most of the cats here. And my handsome brother, chocolate brother that I haven't met. Tell us who you are and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Peace, man. I'm Doma T. I'm from Chicago, but I live in Brooklyn. But I'm a journalist. I'm working at MTV News right now, man. But I came up through the ranks in Chicago media. Used to work at WVON, WGN, and I just tell stories that elevate Black voices. That's my life calling.
That's awesome, man. I might want to get with you offline, man. I have a nephew that just graduated magna cum laude from DePaul with the W in Greencastle, Indiana. And he's a journalism major, media fellow. He's doing an internship with an Arizona company right now. So you sound like somebody, man, that he needs to know. So we're going to connect offline and let me make sure that you two get to know each other and he gets to rub elbows with you and get some of your glamour.
Please connect me with him, man. I mean, I feel like I feel like in this industry, it's not a lot of black males in particular, and so I would love to connect with another brother because I wish I had that mentorship. When I
Yeah,
had that
man.
opportunity, man.
Yeah, I'm appealing to you for that, and with that in mind, he's actually working on a project, and he really needs a. So if anybody that's listening can help with this search, I have a potential out there, but I need a retired Chicago police officer that works specifically in the gang unit. If anybody knows anybody like that, please get with me offline. And he's doing a documentary, and that person would be vital to the documentary. So
Wow, that sounds heavy.
yeah, so glad that everybody's here, man. You guys all look good. You don't look as stressed as I know you are. I know you're stressed because I'm stressed. And let's hop right in, man. This hour is gonna go really, really quick just because of the emotional content. But let's get to it, man. I'm gonna start with a different direction though, man. I want to start with Drew Brees.
Whoa!
You know, and what I'd like to do in the interest of time and us not stepping on each other is, you know, we're gonna round robin our responses, you know, a bit and try to keep them concise and keep them short. And so why don't we do it in the same order that we just did, minus me. I'll probably do the tail end just so I can transition us, you know, to where else we might be going. But Glenn, why don't you weigh in on Drew Brees for me?
Well, I saw his walk back today, and I thought it was a really well-written walk back. When you got good handlers, they put together a good, prepared speech to say, you know, you really effed up, and you need to make this right.
Right.
You know, I think if that's how you felt, own it, because you went very passionate about how you yesterday about your relatives in the Army and all of that stuff, and good. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. I don't have to agree with it or anything else,
Sure.
but you can't just walk it back the next day like it never happened.
Right.
I'll leave it at that. I'm sure that's something to say.
Unfortunately, I'm a secondary Saints fan when I was watching football. I'm not even watching football now, but my grandfather was from New Orleans. So Bears fan first, Saints fan second. I think it's unfortunate that Brees chose to focus on the action instead of why the action was taking place.
Right.
You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, whether you agree or disagree, there wasn't even a mention of it. It would have been totally different, and not that I would have agreed with it then, but it would have been different if he said, "Listen, I understand why he does it, but I don't agree with it." It was more about the disrespecting of the flag than it was the fact that he was standing up and using his platform to demonstrate against the police brutality that's taking place around the world. So at the end of the day, you know, people will say, well, you know, you should peacefully protest. We've seen the memes. You should peacefully protest. Right? And it was like, we tried all of that. And now that people are tearing stuff up, oh, it's a problem. You know what I mean? It's an issue. So yeah, I think as Glenn said, he had some very good handlers. You know, the media and relations team understands that the dollars of the supporters come from a community that is affected, especially in New Orleans as well. And they don't want to lose those dollars. So that walk back was more of a financial gain than an apology.
Yeah, I'll agree. You know what? Drew Brees came out and said what he said. And like they said, everybody's entitled to their opinion. It's how you say it. Or why don't you choose the right time to say it? You know, this ain't the right. I ain't taking nothing away from Drew Brees. The dude's a hell of a quarterback. Is he a Tom Brady? No. Is he a Troy Aikman? No. No, he's not. I mean, there's a time and a place to choose your words. And I believe he also said this back in 2016 when this all happened, when Kaepernick took the knee. And he said it back then. But if he said exactly what he said back then again now, man, I mean, come on, man. First of all, you got a lot of kids that look up to you. A lot of people want you to play the game and play the game for them. And the problem with us today is that we're looking at all these celebrities, not including me, because I don't want no one. I mean, I know I'm going to get trashed. I don't give a damn. But, you know, to me, I am not going to say what people want me to say just because I don't want to say it. And if I ain't got nothing good to say, my grandma says, shut my mouth. That's how, if you ain't got nothing good to say, you shut your mouth. But to come out as a public figure like Drew Brees or even Dwayne The Rock Johnson or Ellen DeGeneres and start trashing or flip-flopping and then, whoa, my bad, let me retract that statement. No. You can't retract what you already said. Why is it that celebrities and sports authorities and figures get to do that, but the normal guys like you and me and you, brothers, we can't do that. If we say it, we are crucified, but they can retract it.
That's a fact. That's a fact. First of all, before I jump into this, I just gotta say the fact that Jose said he ain't even a good enough quarterback to have bad opinions. You was like, he ain't no Troy Aikman. He said you better learn how to throw that pigskin before you start saying stupid shit. But like, my thing with Drew Brees is what you said is we have a culture of celebrity worship that is a problem in this country right now. And I don't even think it shouldn't even become a news story when a celebrity says anything. That man is good at what he does on the field. I don't look to him for nothing else. And so I'm not surprised by that. What it did show me, though, and why it hurt me so much what he said is because it reminded me of those people that you consider your white homies. And then they do something to let you know that we ain't friends the way I thought we were friends.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so imagine those people, those linemen who put their well-being on the line for this man. Those wide receivers that get concussions to catch a pass that he threw in the wrong spot so they can get hit. You know what I'm saying? And to make the money that feeds his children, that he would say something that disrespects them, to let you know that there are so many people that if they don't know your name, they could care whether or not you live or die. And that's what it really brought to the forefront for me. Like companies like Viacom, CBS, my company did this thing where, you know, they're really speaking out about police brutality and all that. And I'm like, this is great. But if we're not addressing things that happen within the office in terms of microaggressions, in terms of everyday interactions on a person-to-person level between black and white people, then, you know, all that stuff is cool, but it's not something tangible. And I think that Drew Brees kind of illustrates that because he disrespected his coworkers in all in public on Front Street.
Well, I think and I think this is where we miss it with white people a lot of times is that we're fetish for them. And that's why, you know, the celebrities can open their mouths and it take on a different thing. And like you're saying, the micro stuff that happens on the local level, you know, isn't as commanding in terms of your attention because it's fetish. You know, a black life itself is fetish. It's not even real. It's more fantasy in the eyes of a whole lot of white people. But what broke my heart more than that was that you are making the same blatant, racist, blindsided mistake that everybody has been telling you that the white America is making for the last 2-3 years, ever since Cap first kneeled, and that was that it has nothing to do with the flag
at all.
Absolutely. If you are really paying attention to the protests and to the meanings of the protest, you know the flag has absolutely nothing to do with it. You have decided that this is a disrespect to the flag. And the irony is there are written, documented ways that are considered disrespectful to the flag. Peacefully kneeling is not one of them.
Not one of them.
So
but wearing it is. Turning it into clothing is.
It is. Burning it is.
Burning it is.
There are a number of things. And so like
it definitely
I said earlier, you know, we've done everything. We've nailed. You got a problem with that. You know, we speak up. You got a problem with that. We tear shit up. You got a problem with that. So it's clearly that the problem is the black part of it.
That's what it is. That's what it is. And that's the funny. How stupid can you be in using this moment right now, where most of us who don't, you know, necessarily support looting and rioting are trying to find ways to talk ourselves off the ledge and say, like, you know, it's hard for us to tell people not to loot, not to riot, whether we participate personally or not. We understand it. So it's hard for us to say that. You choose this moment to say, oh, don't protest peacefully either. It's like, yo, what the person who just had their store burned down would pray for somebody to kneel in front of a flag. before
Yeah.
they threw a brick through their window. So how tone deaf can you be?
I want to get into that looting and rioting part, man. And something I also want to say is that, you know, we're 5 different guys with 5 different perspectives. And so there's no pressure for any of us to agree with you know, perspective here. We're just sharing and open, and, you know, and hopefully if it comes to a point where we're disagreeing, we can be an example and disagree amicably, you know, and
still love each other.
Yeah. But I tell you, man, it's fascinating. Monday, me being a photographer and my nephew being a photographer, Monday, we decided we were going to get out and get some aftermath photos of, you know, all the melees and stuff that have been going on. And I had heard that a jewel near me, like the exact words used were that it's gone. I mean, the way they said it, it was like a helicopter came in and picked it up and carried it away. Like it was like trash to that level. And so as we started making our way around, we got to the jewel and the parking lot was full. And I said, well, wait a minute. I said, they told me that it was trashed. I said, this looks like it's open, you know, open for business.
Right.
Man, the lot was full with looters. That's how comfortable they were.
Yeah.
They just came and parked. And until we got close enough to see that all the windows were busted out in the store, for a minute, we thought that maybe the store hadn't been hit. And then I said, wait a minute. Nobody's carrying jewel bags. They're carrying garbage bags. They're carrying cardboard boxes. And it broke my heart, man, because I understand anger. You know, I mean, I've had to hear my parents tell these stories. That's how long this has been a plight for us. And that's how long it's been left unattended, you know, by the government and by legislation and all the powers that can do something about it. That's how long it's been left out here. And now to witness it myself in real time like that. And I get the anger, I get the destruction, but now I'm thinking about the older community that doesn't have cars,
They can't stop.
station. They can't go get their meds from the local pharmacy. They gotta call somebody to see if they can come get them groceries. You know, so, you know, I think those young people, man, that are doing that have to give it some long-term thought. You know, when they start tearing up stuff. I get the anger. We've done everything. Sometimes you just want to tear shit up. I know and love people that say, hey, burn all this shit down and build it back up if that's what we need to do. I'm with that too. But for me personally, I just don't get the part of it that then we have to suffer for ourselves.
And
So,
a lot of these grocery stores that are burnt up, my bad, Glenn. A lot of these grocery stores that are burnt up are in neighborhoods where there are food deserts. So now you have people that have to travel even further. Just wanted to say that. My bad, man.
Go ahead.
Let me jump in here for a second.
That's a good point.
And that's a great point, Domite. That's a great point. But Sean, you said something a minute ago. You said these young people have to think of the long term or whatever, and that's different for us to say at 40 plus. That's different for us to say.
That's why I laid
Let me
out.
finish, bro. That's different for us to say at 40. And when I say us, I don't mean us as just like me and you. I'm saying everybody in the community. That's different for us to say as from a place of privilege, in the sense that we work to get to a social a certain status, you know, where we don't have to do that. And not that everybody that was looting had to do that, but if you look at the socioeconomic disparities and the differences between and the long lasting how we got to this point. See, the looting and rioting is not the problem; it's a symptom of the problem. If they would have addressed the problem in the first place, then the symptoms wouldn't be there.
Oh, yeah.
And so now we're dealing with the symptoms. And yes, we are, as my brother said, dealing with stuff where it's in a food desert. We are dealing with stuff where, you know, now grandmothers who probably could walk to the store or catch one bus are forced to go 3 or 4 hours just to get groceries and all of those other stuff. I have an MBA and I have a political science degree. So I study war and I study business. And in war, the best way to win a war is not just from killing all the soldiers, it's cutting off their supply chain. So we are cutting off our own supply chain in many senses when it comes to this war. However,
that's my point.
I get that.
But that's the point. That's friendly fire. That's like friendly fire.
The leadership, though, is not there to tell them differently. You know what I mean? We're saying that from a place of where we are now, and I get it because I don't necessarily agree with it, or it's not something that I would do either. But these young people didn't have the leadership in the first place to teach them those differences before all of this happened. So they've been lick hitters. They've been the guys that will rob somebody. They've been these people. And so now a grander opportunity presents itself, and we expect them to be different than what they are when we weren't there teaching them how it should be in the first place.
I hear you. All I'm saying is with all of that, I think you can apply some common sense to your anger. And you can know that you don't have to agree with me, but know that tomorrow I'm gonna have to pay for this. If I run through here with a concrete ball and start busting out windows right now, tomorrow when it rains, I did that. I got to figure out how to fix it. It's going to rain on me. I got to suffer for it. And all I'm saying is I'm not even saying that I understood why they do or don't. What I'm saying is I wish they could apply some common sense to see where they have left their own communities in the aftermath of it. And some
where would they get it from?
That's not even what my argument. My argument is common sense. And where did you get common sense from? You had common sense before you got your MBA?
I had common sense before I had my MBA, but I also had a different environment. I had a different environment to get my.
You know what the environment is, Mel. We just know these are angry people out there. There may have been some people with MBAs out there busting windows. We don't know.
Yeah, let me jump in this real quick because I think Brother Mel and Sean are talking about two related but slightly different things.
So do I.
Because one thing that Mel said, he was like, these are lick hitters anyway, and they say they have a grand opportunity to hit the biggest lick because nobody's paying attention.
That's right.
So I think there are different kinds of protesters. Brother Sean is speaking to, if people want to protest effectively and mobilize, these are the young people who are the forward thinkers, who are thinking about improving our society in the long run. So they're looking at, if they were to riot, they're not going to riot the areas that will hurt our community. Brother Mel is talking about those brothers who saw a busted window or saw the police opportunity. And saw an opportunity.
And didn't care where it was.
Yeah, because they already live in the underbelly of society. They're already part of the D economy. So there's no thought of how this is going to affect my community because my community hasn't fed me anyway.
You know, I believe somebody just texted something, Lisa Inez or something like that. She said those people weren't looters and rioters; those were opportunists.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. All of those are out there in the streets. You know, the entire community out there is different. You have protesters, you got looters, you got opportunists, you got infiltrators that are trying to skew the message of certain factions. Yeah, it's 6 or 7 different groups out there. And that's the unfortunate part, is that they're all going to get labeled as one group, and they're going to lessen the message of the ones that are trying to say something substantial. And so that's why it's so complicated and layered and just kind of screwed up.
But for better or for worse, what charges have been filed against those other 3 officers if the whole country wasn't burnt up? And today they announced charges, and today they announced the FBI is investigating the Breonna Taylor shooting. None of that wouldn't happen. Minneapolis police, school district canceled his contract with the police department. None of this would have happened if we didn't burn their shit on fire.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, man, at some point, you just got to do what you got to do to get the attention. And like I said, this is way too old a story, man. For me to have heard my parents tell the story, and now I got to tell the same thing.
Now you live in it. Now,
it's too old a story, man.
Yeah.
Let me.
But I mean, you have, but you really have.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, because I hadn't heard from you anyway.
Yeah, I know, and it was a little more personal for me because one of the people that works on our team actually was working out in the south suburbs, and a couple of dudes broke in, jumped him, had a gun, and it was a video store, so it wasn't like they were coming in there to make a point. They were coming in there to steal some video games and stuff like that. So I had a little rant earlier in the week about that because I was pissed off about it because I knew what he had gone through to get that job. And then I looked at like Jackie Jack Kilman's Chocolates in Hyde Park, and I look at her stuff busted out. She had to spend the night in her store and really literally talk the looters away from her store. Then I was looking at another black couple who owned the store, and her husband's in the hospital now because he had a concussion. So it wasn't just about busting up the store. You start messing with the people. You start messing with the people that are working hard too. So it became deep. And believe me, I grew up in the South. I've heard every bad story you can imagine from my grandparents on. and saw a lot of stuff. So I get frustration, I get anger, but you're shooting yourself in the foot sometimes, and we do that sometimes. And I think some would have had the looting and the rioting, but I think we are giving a platform to those people that are detracting. It's like the Drew Brees thing we brought up. You fail to see everything else that Kaepernick was kneeling about because he knelt during the anthem. There are going to be some people that are going to be out there that fail to see anything else but looting. That's all they're going to show.
Well,
You can go on certain stations, and that's all you're going to see. You're not going to see the police chiefs walking with people. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I thought you were wrapping up. I was just jumping in where I could.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm good.
No, I was saying, much like Dom said.
I know we've dealt with this before.
Yeah. Ultimately, what we have is systemic versus symptomatic. And a lot of people don't even understand the difference. Like I was having a conversation with a coworker of mine, and he called to check on me, check on my mindset. And then he goes, yeah, but when black people gonna stop killing black people? And I was like, man,
that same conversation.
Yeah, I said, man, those are two totally different arguments, two totally different things, and they need to be rectified two totally different ways. What we're dealing with is systemic racism. What you're talking about is a product of systemic racism. It's symptomatic of systemic racism. And so I hate when people use one of those as an answer to the other, because it's not. Those are two totally different things. They have a relationship because one is an offspring of the other, but they're not the same thing, So it's something, man. Let me ask you guys this, man. This is something that I found myself struggling a little bit. I don't know how much law enforcement you guys have in your families or in your friendship circle. I believe I have more police officer friends than the average human being does. It gets a little spooky.
Yeah, I got my uncle was a sheriff down in Bexar County, Texas.
Yeah.
My brother Irvin Givens, he's a Gary PD, Gary Police Department.
Yeah.
Who now works for the railroad. My nephew, my cousin, but they know.
My brother-in-law.
Yeah, they know.
You
don't treat somebody like they're nobody. Because guess what? And I hope there's a couple of police officers watching, because I know my family's watching, because I told them to watch. But I hope a couple of them are watching, because I can tell you right now, you flip the script. I'll let you do what you got to do. See, I'm one of those cool cats. I'm gonna do what let's go ahead, do what you got to do, say what you got to say. But on them off days, you ain't got that badge and gun. And see, I'm old school. I'll go find you, and I'll beat the dog shit out you, like the same way you did me. But that's just who I am. So I don't put myself in those predicaments, and I make sure my brother, the Gary PD, my nephew, don't put yourself in those predicaments, because you know what? You got this and you got that when you on duty. But your ass got to go to the store. You got to go wash your car. And that guy that you done messed up, he might just be watching. Don't ever think people are terrified of the police. They are called civil servants. They are here to serve the civilians. Civil servants. That's what they're here for. Not all this harassing.
Here's what I found a bit intriguing, man. I have active duty partners that are cops. I have partners that are DEA. I have partners that are retired. I have partners that are city cops. I have partners that are suburban cops. Some of them are outspoken, but a lot of them, brothers, are always quiet during these times. And I always wonder, why are you so quiet? Are you quiet because you're protecting your job? Are you quiet because you're respecting the code? And if you're respecting the code, are you telling me that the code is allowing you to turn a deaf ear to what these racist white boys are doing to your own? Like, I try to respect the aspect of it that I don't know, that I'm not privy to. But in my layperson's mind, these are the variables that I wrestle with. And I go, where are your voices? Where are the voices of the good cops? I always say, well, every cop ain't good, every cop ain't bad, whatever. Where are the voices of particularly the black?
There are some out there that are speaking up. And I would say to the police force, just like I would say to anybody else, everybody does things differently in the sense that, you know, you got some people that are on the front lines protesting. You got some people that weren't protesting, but they were out there cleaning up, you know, when the stores got broken into. You got some people that are trying to get into politics so they could effectively work on legislation. You got some people that are vocal on Facebook that are influencers or whatever. So people have their different ways of showing their support for the movement. And it could very well be that, you know what, they do it behind the scenes. They do it when they're on the scene. Like we had a brother, I was on a different show the other day, and there was a brother, a black cop, who was like, when I'm on the scene with a white officer and I see him getting out of hand, I step in, I'll be like, you know what, I'll take it from here. He moves him out of the way, and he handles the whoever's being arrested or the suspect or whatever, because he was like, I'm not going to let him do that, but I'm not going to talk, you know, I'm not going to do a whole bunch of stuff in front of a whole bunch of other white cops too. I'm going to handle it in a way that I handle it. So some of them might not be vocal. There are some that are.
I get that. But I'm saying we need them to be vocal. Those that can and those that are.
But I think now that
hear from them, we need to.
I think now they've been. I think
that's
now
like
they've been more vocal now.
I need you to be. But I need you to be somewhere else. That ain't your thing.
No, but we also know to be silent is to be complicit. You're one of them.
Who's saying they're being silent though, bro?
What I'm telling you is, if I'm not hearing them, I'm just saying I need to hear them. I'm not hearing them. You know one, Ray good. What I'm saying is I'm not hearing a lot of them. So I would like to hear from some of them. I would like to hear some of them step up and say, at least condemn what's being done.
I have to agree. I have to agree with Mel on this one, Sean. I have to agree with Mel because I don't think everybody's style is not to come out and be vocal. Everybody's style is not to get out in front of a camera and publicly condemn it.
I'm not saying with a universal brush like every one of them should do this. I'm just saying it would be good if some of them did.
Okay,
and some of them are.
When this happened, I said something. Sean.
Did I haven't heard it.
I got attacked by everybody.
Wait a minute, Jose's trying to say something.
Yeah.
You know, when this all happened, I said something, and I got attacked. And guess who I got attacked by? Not friends, not fans, not supporters. My own family. Talking about, why don't you say something? What do you mean? Why did I say something? I said something. Y'all didn't like what I said. I said, you know what? Peaceful protesters, I'm all for it. Do your thing. Say what you got to say. Do your thing. But you cowardly ass rioters and looters, you guys are scum of the earth. I got called out by cousins. Oh, you part of the problem. You on that side. I said, what the fuck side am I on? What side? Tell me what side. I don't know. Then I said, I'm on my side because when the shit hits the fan in Chicago, all of them are going to be calling up, can we come to your ranch? Hell no, you can't come to my ranch. This is my side. Now you can come out here. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to take care of you. But you see, you got to watch what you say because these weren't friends or fans or supporters coming at me. It was my own family. My brother, the cop, Irvin, said, you know what? The hell with them, bro. Because, you know, he knows where we come from and he knows what we stand for. But they want to all of a sudden be oppressed. Let me tell you something. None of my family was oppressed when they were kids. They had everything they wanted. They don't know what oppression is. You know who knows what oppression is? Their mom and dad. Their mom and dad or their grandparents, but not them. So don't come at me. I'm 46, you 35, talking about you oppressed. I will slap the taste out your mouth.
And here's part of my concern as well. And this goes back to the Sandra Bland situation. I remember trying to have some conversations with some of my guys that were police officers about the Sandra Bland case and how that was handled, and you know whether or not she should have been handled the way she was handled. And in talking to some of them, it really made me feel like the code of the job was the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And I made a promise to myself then that I would never discuss anything like that with a police officer. Mm-hmm. Because it seems like their lens is so focused, you know, by the job, that I think that it can sometimes skew your ability to see what's humane and inhumane.
Right.
Right. You know, so that's just
Sean,
yeah.
If I could pick, I'm with Brother Sean on this one because I think the absence of officers en masse. Like it could be something as simple as a petition, a letter signed by African American police associations that says this is wrong.
We denounce this. Yeah.
We denounce this. And the reason why I feel like that is important, even for those who don't want to speak out, aren't that type of person, something for them to sign. The reason why I think it's so important that something like that messaging exists is because the lack of it indicates that there's a system and a structure that means they don't like that shit. They don't recognize it.
Right.
And when I talk about the police officers in my family, I'm concerned that if my brother-in-law jumps in to save a civilian, that he'll be ostracized by his police department.
And he will. And he will.
And
They
he
have
will-
that
and-
code, man.
And so if these officers ain't speaking out, the good cops ain't speaking out, it's because they know that if they break the code, they got to face the consequences of that.
Yeah. It's and a good friend of mine, coworker, just chimed in and said, know that they're good police officers, and we know that. We know that they're just like there are.
Absolutely.
Like I personally believe there are judges and police officers that grew up in racist households, and their dream was to get into a position to do things to people of color and not be held accountable for them. I believe there are little boys, little white boys and little black boys that grew up wanting to be police officers because they wanted to protect people from the bad that can happen to them. So I firmly believe and know that there are good police officers.
But see that irritates me, right? Of course they're good police officers, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing that exists where 100% is the case of something, right?
Absolutely.
But what the hell is a good car with a bad engine? You know what I'm saying? We can have good police officers,
or a good cop that turns his back when the
You
bad.
know what? You know what it is. You know what it is.
or
Shiloh?
isn't empowered to champion common sense positions. And they got 8. I don't know if you guys heard this already. My bad to cut you, Jose. Let me get this real
No,
quick.
it's good. It's good.
They got this thing called 8 Can't Wait. I don't know if you guys have seen this online. It's basically 8 things that the police department can do to end police brutality that don't require legislation. It's stuff like banning chokeholds, requiring warnings before shooting, not shooting at moving vehicles. Some of these were supposed to be in place in Chicago, but a lot of them don't get paid.
Those are regulated by state, though, aren't they? Because in some states, chokehold is fine. Other states, chokehold is not. It depends.
And in some municipalities, it's regulated by department. In some municipalities, whatever the governing body over the police board in that area can decide what maneuvers they're allowed to do.
Yeah.
But if police officers aren't empowered, if you're a good cop in a system where a warning is required before you shoot, or you're allowed to shoot at moving vehicles, or you can use whatever chokehold you want to use, how are you empowered to speak up against the bad cop next to you if he did something that the department says is okay?
Right.
So of course they're good cops. They got bad commanders. So how do we fix that?
That's just like the Black
But this
Lives
brings
thing. Go ahead, Glenn. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but this brings up, and Dominic, you made a good point about legislating things like that. How did the cop that killed Mr. Floyd get to that point? How many complaints did he have against him? He had double-digit complaints against him.
18
Right.
action.
So that brings up another. Yeah, and that brings up another point of where people need to really think about and think about what they're doing, because prosecutors are empowered and they have a wide-ranging amount of power to bring prosecution against cops that misbehave. And in several instances, Tamir Rice in Cleveland, Michael Brown, I think there's one in Shreveport where a gentleman was killed, and there's countless others. There's another one in Cleveland too, where the prosecutor didn't even bring a case against him, or they basically said, "Hey, here's what happened, but I'm not really prosecuting him. I'm just kind of showing you what happened according to what he said." So they didn't even aggressively go after these cops. So understanding that people have the power to vote these people out. I mean, Anita Alvarez here in Chicago. Let's think about that one. She got voted out because of the whole Laquan McDonald thing. So people can vote and make a change. So that should be, I don't know if that was one of the 8 things, but that's one of the things people need to think about, these prosecutors. I mean, Klobuchar may have ruined her chance to be vice president because she didn't prosecute very heavily any cops when she was district attorney. She went straight to the Senate, and now she's up for vice president. But now people are looking at her record as a prosecutor and was like, oh, no way. Forget it. So we need to think about that as well. There's so much power in the hands of the prosecutors that we need to look at. Everybody needs to look at their state, their county, and see who's there and what's their record for prosecution of misconduct. Because if you're 0 for 18, you're telling me 20 times this dude did this and not one of them. You know, everybody was lying 20 times.
You know who was a good officer or a good law enforcement agent, person, whatever you want to say? Marilyn Mosby over there in Baltimore. Was it Baltimore when that happened to Freddie Gray?
Yeah, the Freddie Gray. The Freddie Gray.
She came out immediately, announced charges against those cops. And you know what happened? She went to court and lost. So it's not an individually good person thing. It is a systemic thing. And there was a comment that somebody left that said these officers don't care about anything besides losing their pensions. So if we say that if we got to do a $5 million lawsuit because you did something stupid, it's coming out your pension. Good luck retiring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how do we get to that point?
Dick Gregory said they need to have insurance, just like a cab driver does. Cab driver has insurance. If he has too many indiscretions, they take his license. He can't be a cab driver. If you got 18 disciplinary accounts against you, if you were licensed and you had to maintain your license, you would have lost your license by now, and you couldn't be a police officer because you would be seen as unfit, and then you wouldn't be kneeling. That was a public lynching. That was what that was.
Yeah, that's what that was. Exactly.
You're killing somebody with everybody watching, and you're looking at everybody watching that's telling you to stop and saying, I have all the power right now, and I'm going to kill him right in front of you, whether you want me to or not.
I got one thing I'm going to add to that, if I can add to that. They had the power to stop that cop. I don't want to hear it.
Absolutely, they did. Absolutely.
I don't want to hear it. Oh, pepper spray. No, you know what? You guys are fucking cowards. You guys sat there with these damn phones and videotaped a man dying.
Just like Mel said, somebody can come get him and say, I handled this. I got this. You're doing too much. I got this. Somebody.
Wait. But here's the thing.
That award, no, hold on. That award up there, that award was given to me because I jumped in and I assisted after being on the run for 25 years from the police, assisted a wounded police officer and stopped two armed bank robbers unarmed on my own. So this is what this is right here, okay? And I hope those cowards that videotaped that man's death, I hope you all watching this, you sissy ass motherfuckers, because you should have jumped in and stopped him from choking him. And I hate to say it like that, but it's the man cave. Let's keep it real, brothers. This is what a hero is. Not with this, oh, look what they're doing, stop. Jump your ass and get in front of that cop and stop him.
Again, and again, this is why I said at the beginning, because this is a hypersensitive issue. And even though we all may have some commonality, we're not all going to see it the same, right. And that's okay. The dialogue that we're having, even the disagreements we're having, need to be had on a higher level, because that would trickle down the behavior and the rules and the legislation that we reside under. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
Because Nelson, man, he ain't said nothing in 30 minutes.
I'm not mad. I'm far from mad, brother. Life is too short to walk around mad. Not about anything we talked about.
Hey, man, I love you, man. You want to have a drink tonight?
I got my water right here.
Hey, I got my McCartney and Coke. I broke my fast because of you, Sean. Because of you.
Hey, man, I decided I want
Mel got me feeling bad, man. He got me feeling like I'm talking too much, man. I'm wondering.
Nah, you good, bro. I'm on the show. I'm on the show every week. You good?
Okay.
You're very good, Doc. And I'm sure that the other brothers like me are appreciative of having, a younger voice on, because your generation, man, is a lot more flexible and progressive, and you just see things differently, man. And I respect the way the younger people, man, in my generation see things. I listen to my niece and nephew and their friends, and these hungry, educated, man, driven people. I mean, they're the ones that are going to be in control of this thing in 10 years. You know what I'm saying? And I feel good about it. I feel good about it because I've seen so many young, bright, ambitious, leader-like young folks, man. And so that's one thing I'm certainly not worried about. It's been the same all my life as I've known it, but my belief now is that it's in the best position ever if it's going to be changed. Because,
thank you, brother.
These young people, man, they're sharp, they're strong, they're angry, and some of them will use their anger one way, but some of them will use their anger in another way. You know what I'm saying? And so
some will turn a positive, anger into a positive, and some will turn anger into a negative.
Yeah, man. So I think we're in good hands, you know.
That's the thing that struck me about Jose's point, because I'm trying to think of how do we get to a point where the spirit of the rioter, right, the person who doesn't mind getting physical, it permeates the people who can do that effectively, in terms of what you said with somebody recording it and saying, nah, fuck that, rush the police.
Yeah.
The reason they didn't rush the police is because those are peaceful people. Those are peaceful protesters. Those are the type of people who say, just listen to what the police officer tells you to do and you'll be all right. Those are the people who watched and recorded and said, if we record this and show people, they will apprehend these officers, discipline them, etc. Those are people who believe in the system, who are good, law-abiding people.
Yeah.
Those ain't the type of people that are going to rush somebody while they got the foot on the block.
I'll rush them.
Yeah, you red.
Right, but I think it was.
That's why everybody ain't got awards like that on their wall. You know what I'm saying? Because you red. You was on the side of the police fucking up robbers. I ain't never heard of it. So like, and still a real one.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Glenn,
you saved the cop.
Glenn.
You see, but the average person doesn't have that duality.
They don't think that way. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, because it's like either you gangster or you're not. You know, it's
But
it's
to
very
what
few people that got
extent can I sit there and watch a grown ass man? I don't care if you a dope head, a coke kid, a crack kid. I don't care what color you are, Asian, black, Chinese, German. What woman, kid, at what point does the human spirit not say, man, that's wrong. Stop.
Yeah.
You know what? If you got hate in your eyes, it's over, Jack. So I had to take my eyes and close them for years and reopen them to what I've been missing for 25 years, running for them fools. And now
Glenn,
they can do with me.
Glenn, come on, jump in here. You're getting ready to say something a minute ago. I don't want you to lose your thought, because I want to make sure I touch on something else before we run out of time.
No, the person that actually videotaped the main videotape I heard was a 17-year-old girl, which is pretty interesting, because she may have just changed the course of America with that video.
Wow.
And that's powerful. You talk about young people and what they're doing, you know, playing about video and phones and everything else, but a 17-year-old girl just may have actually changed the way America thinks about it.
You got to be so glad.
Because if you think about it, I mean, yeah, you think about what did Will Smith say? Brutality didn't just start happening; it just started getting filmed. That was the difference.
And we all know,
just started getting
hearts, we all know how frequently this has happened, and nobody caught it, and nobody knew it. And by the time it came to light, the real story was changed to protect whoever needed to be protected. And so now at least we have a chance, man, you know, to document these kind of things and give ourselves a chance to at least present it, you know, before a system that we can at least hope will do the right thing. You know?
Yeah, well, it was interesting because a white friend of mine called me, and I've been getting a lot of those calls lately. But they were like, "Well, what can we do?" And I'm like, you know, it's about human decency. You know, number one, you wouldn't be my friend if you weren't a decent human being. I don't care about your color or anything else.
Right.
But I'm like, I want you to look at that video and imagine that it was me. I'm like, if that's gonna make you understand better, then you were looking at the last 8 minutes of my life.
Right.
While somebody was kneeling on my neck and I struggled to breathe. And at about 2 minutes left in my life, I yelled for my mother, who's been dead for a number of years. I was like, I want you to sit there and imagine that. Imagine it's your favorite black friend. I don't care who it is, your favorite black or brown friend, but put their face there. And how would you feel?
Yeah.
You know them to be a good person. You know them to be somebody that you broke bread with, you've had drinks with. You imagine them and imagine that's the way they died. They're face down on the pavement, on the dirty street, in the middle of the street with 3 cops kneeling on them. I'm like, put somebody else's face there if you can't relate to it, if that'll help you do it. And you know, they were like in tears after I said that. So it's just people it has to hit people in a certain way, and I think this one did. For some reason, this one did.
Yeah,
I thought the 9 people in the church would do it, but it didn't do it. I thought you go into a church and kill 9 worshipers. I was like, oh, America's gonna change from this. This will do it. No,
not a bit.
No.
One of my good buddies.
It wasn't televised.
One of my good buddies is a white guy, and he you know, he's one of the few that I can have some really transparent conversations with. And it's because while he might not always get it right, I know that he wants to understand. His heart's in the right place, you know. And so sometimes he says some things that are decidedly white, you know, and and I try to, you know, give him a different perspective. But he was one of those text messages, you know, the ones that know how tragic this is. I almost feel for them, because what can you say? You know, and it's something that's so sensitive to us. I'm sure they fear saying the wrong thing, you know, and trying to say the right thing. And so he sent me a text message, and he just said, "Hey man, I got no magic words. You know, this is all crazy, and I'm thinking about you and your family, and I'm really, really thinking about your nephew." And man, that was the most powerful thing that he could have said to me, you know, to understand he knows the danger that my family lives under. You know what I'm saying? Just because
he saw it live.
Yeah. I mean, but he's seen it anyway. But you know, for those that are just seeing it now, you know, come on board. You know, come on board and show some humanity, and think about, you know, your brothers and sisters and your friends, and you know, that one black friend you say you got. You know, think about all of them, you know.
And they all say that. I got that one black friend. I'm like,
because
and if all else fails, think about a dog. Because if a dog was treated, literally, if a police officer
got more time, dog. Michael Vick got more time than these cats get for killing black people.
Come on, man. If something went viral, I saw animal activists go crazy on Amy Cooper for strangling that dog in that park. When she was threatening to call the police on that man.
What was that gorilla's name?
I think Don Lovett was still
the gorilla they were picketing about a couple of years ago.
Harambe.
Right. They were picketing about Harambe.
Which means come together.
The irony, you know.
The irony.
But you can have Ahmaud Arbery running and get shot. And
get hit by one of them. They actually hit him. They ran over him. The guy sideswiped him. They found out today. They literally hit him to slow him down.
I'm so weary of it, man. I stopped watching the videos. If I see the video, it's because I happened upon it and couldn't turn it off fast enough. Like, I've seen them enough. You know, I'm going to hear the details. I'm going to hear the accounts. I don't need the horror anymore of watching it happen, because I know how real it is. So I would be watching it for sport at this point. I don't need to see it anymore. You know, hearing about it is enough, you know?
Yep. I don't even watch the news anymore, man, because ain't nothing new on the news. It's all negative, negative, and they replay it, and they're putting subliminal messages in people's heads like this is life. No, that's your damn evil, man. Now this young brother right here, this is a journalist right here who does his show, and I respect that. I respect you, bro, because you're doing things differently than the Channel 5, the WGN, the CNN, the MSNBC. They repeat the same thing over and over. It's like a song. Rappers sing a song, kids listen to it, and they remember the lyrics, and they're in their head. Well, that's all the news does. I haven't watched the news in over a year or two. People say, "Oh, don't you watch the news?" Hell no, ain't nothing new on it. Ain't nothing good. Nothing good about it.
That's a good question.
Yeah, man.
Somebody just asked, will this change anything? Somebody had a question from the audience. Will this change anything?
I saw it.
It is changing.
I don't think one thing can change anything. You know, it's got to be a series of things. It's got to be a series of protests, demands for legislation, dialogue like this. There's no one march that's gonna all of a sudden tomorrow everything's gonna be okay. It's got to be a movement of a number of things that continue to move and continue to create change. What we don't need one thing, we need some momentum. And once that momentum starts, then we can start making some change behind it.
And that's people of all color.
But we're always gonna run across people that don't really want peace. They want quiet.
You know, I like pepperoni and sausage. You don't like mushrooms on your pizza. So I mean, we're gonna have that. But it's gonna take men of all colors, people of all colors, all races, all ethnicities to stand up to this government and take back what they've been taking all this time. And you know what? When I left LA in February, I told my wife, I said, my son told me to go home because they're about to lock down the base because they've got some virus from China out here. I said, oh shit. So I came home. And when I got home, she's mad at me now. My mom and dad are still telling me it's all my fault. All this is my fault. Because I went to bed, I got up, I said, man, if you guys think this is the worst, you ain't see. And then 2 weeks later, everybody lost their jobs. And they kept going. And I said, now the looting and the rioting comes. People are hungry. Watch what happens.
Right.
And all this happened. And they're like, how did you know all that? I said, I see things, but I don't tell nobody. I just see things.
Hey man, I want us to go forward, of course, knowing, man, that peace and quiet aren't the same.
No.
So you're gonna have some people that want peace, and then you're gonna have some people that just want us quiet.
I want quiet.
Because and they could just want us quiet because the sound of it is too painful, or it conjures up too much guilt in them, whatever it is. But it's up to us to know the difference. When it comes to peace and quiet, some people want peace, some people want quiet. I don't need quiet. I don't need quiet. I need peace. And the other thing is, I'm so weary, man, of people challenging and having issue with the whole concept behind Black Lives Matter. The attack on the term Black Lives Matter is the most cowardly thing I've witnessed, almost in my life. Because to say Black Lives Matter has never said only Black Lives Matter.
No.
What it's saying is Black Lives Matter also.
Right.
And so I've seen some great analogies lately, but most of them are around, you dealing with the life that's in danger. So all lives matter, but all lives ain't in danger right now.
No.
Black lives are in danger. So
I want to get this in really quickly because something Sean said a moment ago really moved me about momentum. And it's not going to take one thing, but I do know that every generation, a cacophony of events inch us closer and closer and closer to where we want to be. And I didn't fully, each year I'm reminded of that, of the ground laid of the generations before me, but it became so apparent when I was looking for, I had to do a story on George Floyd, and I called it a modern day lynching. And I was like, how am I going to allow MTV to let me call this a lynching? So I started researching, and I looked up Ida B. Wells, and I looked up the definition of a lynching and the work that Ida B. Wells did in documenting lynchings. And then I threw it back to her. And because I had an ancestor that I could pull from, I was able to do what I do now. And so I think, like you said, I think the momentum is going to come, and at least on my platform. And, you guys, this sounds crazy, I'm trying to plug, but just follow me on social media. I won't talk about the show and such. But if you weary like the news, I'm making the kind of news that I wish was around. And I'm only able to do it because of generations past. And so I think it is going to get better in the long run.
Hey, man, well, I think I speak for everybody on the panel. Man, we expect great things from you. And I don't want to put any pressure on you, but I absolutely want to put some pressure on you. Because you're equipped to lead, and you're equipped to be one of the spearheads, man, in changing things. And I sense your energy, I sense your passion, I sense your intellect. And so I want you to walk away from this carrying the expectations that we have of you, because we need you. Our legs are weary, our legs are tired. We've been running this race quite.
We old.
Your fresh legs, man. Your fresh legs, man, are what we need, and the fresh legs are those next to you. You know what I'm saying? And they won't always look like you. And that's the great thing about this. This has gotten so much attention, man. I took part in the protest that was Tuesday, maybe, that was in Bronzeville, and man, it was so many non-Black people out there, and I appreciated it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not your story. You haven't lived every day with the same, pain and pressure, that we have. But I appreciate you trying to say you hear me, and trying to say that you have some compassion and some humanity, unlike, the leader of the free world right now and a whole lot of other people. So,
they're trying to get rid of us. They're trying to get rid of us.
That's a fact.
Humanity. So I think we're gonna wrap up. Neil, you shared that link. Is that something that I should be sharing, or?
I don't know if Raj can do that, or if our producer can do it from.
But that's a link to a
That's the link.
Why don't you tell us the title of it, and that way we can write it down and go get it, go listen to it at in our quiet time. Hold on, before you all, for those of you all who don't know, you probably do, but if you don't know, Mel is an accomplished author, actor. He's also an incredible poet. He's got a relationship with words that everybody's impressed by. And so oftentimes we end our show with Mel doing something for us. And he has a piece that he's going to share the link to. And I encourage you guys in your quiet time to go and check it out. So Mel, tell us what that is so we can go get it.
So the producers are going to do a screen share and do it that way. So I'll just do an intro to the piece because I don't have it in me to do it live now.
And I understand.
The other night, and just trying to process all of this, I wrote a piece called "I Can't Breathe." It's I don't think it's ironic that we went from a situation where we're being choked economically, we're being choked physically, we're being choked, by every stretch of the imagination, man. It's crazy. And somebody inboxed me, a sister that was talking about how, imagine you're playing the game of Monopoly, and for 400 years while you've been playing this game, they were like, all right, here's the game of Monopoly, but you can't have no money, you can't have no property. As a matter of fact, any of the work that you do, it's for somebody else. And then after that 400 years of doing that, 50 more years, they're like, okay, you could be in the game now, but any money you make, any property that you get, we're going to burn it down, Rosewood or Black Wall Street, or we're going to take your money from you, or like that. So 450 years of not being able to play a game. And then now go post that, and we're still in a situation where it's difficult, man. It's extremely difficult. And the other night, after processing all of the murders, all of the things that are taking place, I couldn't sleep. And it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. And I wrote this piece, and then I recorded it. And I was like, I can't just record it. I gotta put some illustration to it. So I found some pictures, put some illustration to it. And the last thing I'll say too, to you, Domity, if you don't have the book Without Sanctuary, I got it in my office here. It's a book called Without Sanctuary, which is a documentation of lynchings in the U.S. Amazing book, and they have pictures in there as well. I'll inbox it to you, bro, and everybody needs to check that out. Like there's nothing new under the sun. The game hasn't changed, only the players have, and the methodology behind what is systemically happening has.
The rules.
So the piece is called "I Can't Breathe," and yeah, I wouldn't even have it in me to do it live. Now it was hard enough writing it and recording it. So
you wrote it because you probably had to purge. It was more of a releasing to write it and get it out. And so I'm going to ask the production team if they would share that while I share this last bit, man. I watched that funeral today, and of course, a funeral is a funeral, and you have some people that say some meaningful things and some creative things. And I enjoyed Al Sharpton, who basically had an analogy with the knee on George Floyd's neck, with the knee that's been on the neck of Black people for ages and ages. But the most powerful part, man, of that funeral was when they chose to have an 8-minute and 46-second moment of silence.
Yeah.
For how long that man put his full body weight on the neck of this man. And I am sure there is nobody that left there not just disgusted at how long 8 minutes and 46 seconds is when somebody is begging for their life. And I thought about that guy knowing that he was leaving here. He had to know he was leaving here, and I hate that he had to face that, that he had to lay there handcuffed, this grown man on his neck, and him knowing that this is probably the end for me, and this is how I'm going to die. I hate the fact that was his last visual and his last conscious, experience, man. It's heartbreaking for me. So production team, if you can screen share Mel's poem, please. And I want to thank all of you guys, man. I knew that this would be spirited. That's why I didn't bring a cocktail to it. But I appreciate you all. I appreciate every perspective, the ones that I agree with and the ones that I didn't agree with. I appreciate you all because it's not about me, it's about us and about us taking our different beliefs and perspectives and figuring out how to make them coalesce. And so that's just the game. That's just what we have to do, man. So Glenn, I don't know what strings you can pull to get this screen share.
Raj got it.
Raj got it. Okay.
Raj
got everything.
taken care of.
All right. So I'm waiting for him to do that, man. And in the meantime, man, I hope you guys are gonna do what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna hit this back porch and pour me one and light me up a cigar and listen to some house music. One of my buddies, Just Denson, has a set every Thursday night from 8 to midnight, and I'm gonna decompress, man, and listen to some Just Denson. So looking at it, the title says "I period can't period breathe period." So that's what you want to search for.
That's on YouTube, Mel.
It's on YouTube. Yeah.
I got you, bro. Hey, am I following you on YouTube?
Yeah.
Yes, my YouTube channel is called Melevation. I'll put it in the chat of the TV show on Facebook.
All right, I'm gonna start following you. Better follow me back, man. I know where you live.
I moved. Raj, run it, please. Get rid of these fools. Run it.
I love you.
He's actually gonna
Thank you
play
guys
it.
for having
Sweet.
me, man.
If he's gonna play it, that's dope. All right, guys. Love y'all, man. I appreciate y'all.
Love you guys.
Thanks, man.
Thanks,
Thanks, everybody.
Peace.
Love you back.
I turn this damn thing off. Oh,
So it's buffering, so you might have to just look at it on your own. I'm gonna go check it out now, Mill.
Maybe if I share screen, Raj. Let me try. Yeah, the stream wasn't working. We tried to show it, but it's in the comments. So thank you guys. Have an amazing day. Take care. We love you all. Live in the cave. Peace.